is shrouded in mystery's embrace. You dwell in shadow, a tranquil space, a passive heart, a dormant soul, as life's stories continue to unroll. Wicked skies hide the desert. The rain falls hard. The night floods every nook available. The flash of a match bites the air. He holds it close. The smell of sulfur. His cigarette lights on the first attempt. He flicks the remainder of the burning stick into the nearest puddle, just beyond the shelter of the tin overhang. Hiss. The door is open behind him, and the sound of static claws the darkness. Big droplets strike his turquoise Chevy coupe like thrown quarters. The soft rumble of the black 18-wheeler beyond the pumps of the gas station matches his heart. A light strobes within the cabin of the truck. The man can't help but notice someone basking in the amber hue. He squints, focuses on the face. It watches him, smiling. The flimsy pine door shuts with a light click. Static crackles on the Electro-Home TV. The digital clock blinks. 3:33 a.m. in faded green. He shuts the thick blinds and lifts his duffel bag onto one of the twin beds. His varsity jacket, black and white, with the jester patch on its back, drips all over the linoleum. He takes his black slicked back hair and combs it flat. He pulls leather driving gloves from his back pockets. They are stiff from exposure to moisture. He places a stool in the far corner of the room. He then unzips the bag slowly, each tooth snapping as the hunting bow crawls out. He removes the bow and one poison-tipped arrow, then sits down. He aims it at the hollow door. The rain and the static melt together. He clears his throat, hunches over slightly. The TV cuts out. The room becomes black and dead. The silence is aggressive. He is not alone. Figures, he says, loud enough to hear. His broken grimace reflects her gaze as she peers through the window. The tension holds tight, like a fist full of piano wire, and the sound of the doorknob twisting sends shivers up the man's spine. The door whispers. The night is her dusty fur coat. Revenge, her red carpet affair. Her eyes are tiny candles, licking the open heart she intends to work on. The flames command attention, alluring and twisting. The surgeon enters the room. She can taste the tears in his eyes from afar. A jagged grin creases her skeletal face. Her leather jacket and pants are taut and dry. Smoke drifts from the surface. A porcelain face floats in the darkness, racked with mania. Deep auburn hair swells like an inky, bloody cloud around her shoulders. "What was your name again?" she asks from within the howls of the begrudged winds. Crack. The bow's string twangs for a solid minute. The ashes of his lover begin disintegrating. The sticky green linoleum is barren and clean as the dust evaporates. Still smiling. After a quick cigarette, he makes for the door, bag in hand. The Marlboro tastes stale. The 350 cubic inch motor screams as the Bel Air leaps towards anywhere fast. Lightning stretches across black clouds, grasping. The storm weeps upon the muddy second-hand landscape. Energy begins to whir and thrum. A soft chuckle from inside the motel room slowly raises into a sharp cackle, wretched and gleeful. A shadow darts across the lot towards the 18-wheeler, dragging with it loose debris. The driver's side door slams shut. The big rig, blacker than dread, slowly leaves the station. Her face grins even more, sizing up the straight whip of broken road ahead. Clouds of toxic smoke follow it off in the direction of the gun for hire, forever hunted by whom he admires. The air horns explode, echoing across the wasteland as the truck picks up speed. He hears the blast of those horns over his engine. He mashes the pedal. In the shadows, you quietly wait, a passive observer of an empty state. The world outside is dim and cold as your thoughts in the darkness unfold. It's a stupid old house. That's what everyone thinks. Smack dab between Wilson's place, a nice Tudor, and Billy's little cottage. Just stupid. I don't know why, it just is. Covered in moss and shit. The people there don't care. I'd have a word with the city about it, but they've never bothered to come and have a look. Bureaucracy, that is. The smacking of the chewing tobacco in the brutish old man's mouth makes the woman in the passenger seat grind her teeth. She opens the car's window to let the cool air into the Volkswagen. He hiccups as they hit a pothole. Came home one night. You see, I have the cottage across the road to myself, and all I hear is bloody Halloween music. It's not like I haven't partied in my time. Mind you, I have. It's just concerning knowing that some poor sap is probably, being... He spits out of the window, and she hears it land. Let's just call them junkies for the sake of time. Sounds fun. He cranks up the heat. She grabs her canteen and swigs. She starts to roll the window down further. I'm trying to warm up, darling, he says. She looks at him, stern. She doesn't blink. Just turn the heat down and I'll close the window, she says. They both cooperate. He starts belly laughing, but her mind is elsewhere. You'll love it, he says. So, will you help me in talking to them? She turns to her brother and blinks twice, slowly. Oh, for Christ. Have you heard a thing I said? Sorry, I've just had a long flight. I want to have good rest for tomorrow. Mom would have wanted us to be at our best, she says. Right. That said, I had asked you to come and talk with the neighbors with me about the noise, he says, holding his breath. All right, I'll do it. But then I'm asleep, she says. Sorted. The Victorian house is barely lit by the crescent moon. Metallic grinding and hissing echo from within its walls. The grass is primordial and thick. Insects hover around the entrance. They approach the derelict doors and knock. Screeches pierce the air. She covers her ears. We need to get the fuck out of here, she says, nudging the big man's round waist. You said you'd help me. You're staying, he says. The door creaks open. The interior of the house is illuminated with red light. She faints instantly, striking the soft earth with a thud. He stands straight. An oily-looking shadow with eyes like tiny galaxies emerges from the spiral staircase within. Its mouth is a gateway to the underworld. He can hear the voices of billions of wailing souls. He clears the phlegm from his throat and spits, narrowly missing the unconscious woman crumpled beside him. You there? I'm sorry if you haven't noticed, but I've had it up to here with you lately, he says. It begins to unleash waves of energy from its bosom that fill the air with fear. You can moan about it all you want. You know, you've only started squatting here for the last month. He counts his fingers. Yeah, you know, if you really want this dump, then I'd suggest you start fixing it up. Fucking eyesore. He lights a cigarette and hauls. If I can't get any sleep because of your antics, I'm calling the authorities. You've been warned. He almost chokes. He slams the door. In the driveway of the dilapidated home is a wheelbarrow. The tire is flat, and it squeaks. He lifts the woman up onto it and crosses the street with her. Narcolepsy. Just her luck. The family is going to have a fit when they find out. A loud zap tears through the neighborhood. Birds flee from nearby trees. He stands for a moment. He drops the wheelbarrow and turns around. The house is completely gone. Where the house once stood is a glowing scarlet pentacle on flattened, scorched earth. He laughs with his entire diaphragm that fades into nothing. Fucking sorted. He revels for a moment, then carries on. Darkness falls like a heavy veil. In your silent room, you set sail, a passive mind, a watchful eye, as life's mysteries pass you by. Candles make the tiny room warm. The woman's eyes are black dots. She wipes ooze from the young man's eyes on a tea towel with little snowmen on it. His nose ruffles, head cocked. He sneezes. The smell of throw up and mildew. He looks crooked on the cot, buried in quilts. He feels liquid dribble from his left nostril, and his mother dabs his nose, revealing the liquid to be viscous and black. You're not really you, sweetie, she says. That doesn't make sense. Vomit shoots from his mouth. She catches it in a Christmas bucket with snowman stickers. Not a drop spills. His eyes are harvest moons climbing over the mountains between them. He coughs. I can handle it, Mom. I've got bills to pay and other things, like my content. You make ASMR videos, she interrupts. Someone has to, he begins. No, they don't. The hearing impaired have ways of hearing, hun. Your yelling is absurd, she says without blinking. He frowns slightly. I wish you'd told me that sooner. I thought you liked them, he says in a soft grumble. She eyes the old man preoccupied with his phone, leaning against the blue toy chest. Snowmen are painted neatly on its wooden exterior with plastic sparkles. Her eyelids shut hard. Where am I? He asks. Your home. My home? He asks. My home? She asks, with a similar cadence. Home. The wooden paneling is painted off-white and is flaking. Pictures of family members in black and white look miserable, except for her, who is beaming. The windows are fogged up. The crucifix hangs upside down on the door. The priest fumbles around on his phone. The sound of a puzzle game chirps and whistles. The mother has a slight eye twitch. Why is this upside down? The leaning man asks, batting at it lightly, eyes locked on his device. He's dressed in an all-black priest's outfit with a small white collar at his Adam's apple. We kept on trying to put it right side up, but we couldn't get it to stay, so we said fuck it and left it like that, she says, turning her eyes on her son, warmth returning to her face. Shit, he says, kicking over the small heater. It buzzes on the floor. He grasps at the air towards the mother. The bucket, he says. Now. She scrambles a bit, almost losing balance. The priest grabs it and spits his gum into the black vomit. Hate it when it loses flavor. He rights the fallen heater and returns to his game. So, the mother asks, focusing on the old man who gazes into blue light. Fuck, I don't know. She rolls her eyes. Her son looks nauseous. I'm really hungry. I know, she says. No, Mom, I'm really hungry, he says, with moons waxing. I keep giving you food. The priest laughs once. Yeah, about that, he says. He looks up at the cross, dangling upside down. Everyone's eyes follow. Oh, no, don't worry about that thing. It's just broken. He shakes his head. He's a vampire. He's a vampire, she says, with a smile, placing her hands on her temples. Told you I was good. The priest uses as an inhaler. You just have to have faith, he says in between breaths. He shakes it like a can of paint. We'll take it from here, Father, she says. Fucking hell, she whispers. I gotta get to a football match which starts in, he gasps. I'm leaving, bye. That's it, she asks. You did nothing. Keep him out of sunlight, for now. Supposing... He's a vampire, he says, pocketing his phone. I've notified the Vatican. Thank God, I think, she says. Yeah, it'll take about 3 months to a decade. Good luck. He smiles with his eyes closed and lumbers off. There is a sound of plastic and metal clanking off of wooden furniture. Fuck, he says a handful of times. The door makes a quiet thud, and the wreath falls off with a clink. She looks at her son. I'm not sure what to feed you. She thrusts her wrist out. I could always... She touches the veins. No, Mom. He shakes his head. What time is it? He asks. 6:42, she says, just after dark. Who do you hate? Hate? She winces. She looks up at the cross. I know this sounds strange. I'm thinking, she says, stopping sometimes to almost mouth words, but falls silent. I'm not sure I hate anyone. What about the priest? She claps and points to him with a grim, go for it. He smiles back, and shadows begin to engulf him. Outside, in the mist, the priest jumps on his electric scooter, tires spinning on wet road. In the shadows, you remain, a quiet soul, untouched by pain. The world outside, a distant show, as you, the enigma, simply go. Virtually every writer I know would rather be a musician. Kurt Vonnegut. After silence, that which comes nearest to expressing the inexpressible is music. Aldous Huxley. In the beginning. The day inches closer to its end. Dense fog envelops the forest, tightly gripping it white-knuckled. The air remains still, charged with an unspoken presence. Rain has left behind vast puddles, deep and clear. Verdant foliage and writhing insects infuse life into the wilderness. The buzz of tiny wings, the chirping of crickets, the scent of a great fire linger. Inside a fogged-up Plymouth Voyager, somewhere in the thickest thickets of the Cascadian evergreens. He watches as his camcorder's bright LCD screen blinks. A red battery symbol flashes before fading into darkness. He wears a faded red plaid jacket. He scratches his bristly chin. His clothes are coated with white dog hairs. He smells like one too. He sets the camera on the dashboard. "Sorry, gang, the camera's out of juice," he says, flashing a grin towards the rear seat. All the juice. Her clothes are clean and scent-free. She wears the same jacket as his, but a deep forest green. Her sightline barely clears the middle seats. She flicks a barbecue lighter until it ignites and holds it to an old propane bottle. A shared chuckle passes between them. "If you're gonna leave our bodies here, you might as well start with me." He laughs again. "Let it cook for a bit and then chuck it at my head." She clears her throat. Preoccupied with the lantern, she races to the flickering light on the headboard. She studies its worn patina in the tangerine glow. The mass of wavy, thick black hair in the driver's seat remains motionless. A cigarette arches over the seat from his lap to the back. She catches it with her shirt, hands full. After she sets the bottle down beside her with the lantern, the smoke is thrown back, striking the windshield and landing in the ashtray in the center console. "I don't smoke, idiot," she says. A stream gurgles with frozen spring water over rocks rounded by the current. Salmon swim in sparse numbers upstream. An owl can be heard amidst the chorus of nocturnal life. When the moon peers through the cloud cover, its golden light feels like an enormous, unblinking eye. The driver, clad in black denim, scoffs. He rhythmically drums his bony fingers on the steering wheel in a blast beat. "Well," he asks, the rhythm of his beat momentarily slowing. "How many batteries did you bring?" she inquires, staring at the lamp. He hurls one into the mound of camping gear at the center of the van. It bounces off and almost falls out the open door. "None, apparently." The driver, covered in spikes and local band patches, turns to face them, both, remaining stoic. He stops drumming for a moment. "The beast," he says, adding a final fill on the wheel, then steps out of the van with an imposing camera in hand. "Yes!" The lantern hisses before illuminating the forest like white phosphorus. The others brace slightly. "It's alive!" Guided by the lantern's warm glow and burdened by the expensive camera, the trio embarks on their journey. A subtle change in temperature or pressure almost goes unnoticed. She inquires about it. No response. "Huh?" they almost ask, but continue, not waiting for a reply. They begin their exploration into the darkness of the woods. His thumb slips and hits the button, and the camera starts to record. "Guys," she asks, the three of them locked onto something up the emaciated trail. She kills the torch. "Hey!" They stop. The camera picks up something beyond them. Is someone there? They close in on what seems like a distant light. Snap! It pops and crackles before them, inches from their faces. The bright glowing orb sputters and floats around in a lazy dance. The two flannel-clad remain statues. Capturing it on video, they study the light, trying to focus on its features. "Beautiful," she whispers, almost reaching out to it. "The heck is it?" "Spider," she scolds. The light lowers in brightness, becoming pale enough to make out its features. It's a bug?" asked the two guys. A fist-sized lightning bug hovers over directly in front of the camera. It stares blankly into the lens and looks around at the three of them. It was almost animated, surreal, a living oil painting. Huh? It asks. They wince. Oh, yeah, I guess we're bugs. Come out, guys, it's cool. Buzzing and chatter fills the claustrophobic space between the trees and ferns. Yeah, my name's Francois. This is our forest. The ferns explode with little lightning bugs who emerge handfuls at a time, hovering closer, making a loose circle until hundreds surround them. It's an enchanted forest, or whatever. Cool, right? A story by Jared Doherty Walsh. We thought you were Steve, one of them said from the circle. The humans were speechless. But you weren't, Steve, said another. Yeah, welcome, friends, Francois said, making eye contact with them. Follow us if you want to live, he said in a deep voice as they began floating away down the trail. It's an old reference. Anyways. Dude, Spider said, slowly. Come on, guys, let's go, said the neon insect. There's pie. Heck yes, the three of them chime in, turning to look at each other once before grabbing each other's hands and stepping through the muddy, uneven trail towards the smell of campfire. They follow their glowing new friends off into the night. Beyond reality, three figures watch. After what feels like hours and also less than seconds, the trio and their floating, glowing comrades are transmuted into a shining city nestled within the trees. It's as if they're descending deeper and deeper into the forest floor. The city rises in a never-ending loop that seems to glide through emotions never felt and times that never existed. And that feeling reminiscent of being sucked through a black hole only made exclusively from wholesome, somehow, light that lit up everything imaginable, even dreams they will never have. So there's this individual, or rather, a shadowy mass, a living nightmare, you might say. It's the reason we can't indulge in our favorite pizza, smokes, or beer anymore, among other things, Francois declares in the neon light of the metropolis now enveloping them. We can't get that stuff here. The ingredients are, so hard to come by. The gang has ventured into a different dimension. Holy shit. It's always fun to have visitors, the vaguely hornet-like humanoid says as the gang become lucid in this bustling utopia. Especially ones that aren't technically supposed to be here, he says into Spider's dumbfounded right ear from a foot away. Hovering vehicles, holographic 3D images of advertisements in languages from different foundations of logic, buildings that transcend the sky and defy the notion of geometry or even structural rigidity. These sights sober them like a dunk in a vat of sub-zero synthetic fluids. The city center becomes their focal point, surrounded by hundreds of completely different species of people indifferent to their presence. But yeah, Shadow the Man, he chuckles, casting a glance at one of his alien wingmen who flanks them, making a foreign gesture with his hand. He's been preventing people from entering our enchanted woods. Another hornet-like being hands him an electronic vaporizer of some sort. He exhales an ever-increasing, bright neon, color-changing cloud. That guy casts an overwhelmingly difficult spell to encompass the whole region. We're magical beings, so messing with the Ancient Guardian, that's not really our thing. Think rock, paper, scissors. They gather for a moment around a giant blazing furnace. It appears to have burned eternally, emanating an astral golden light. Here, the three transcend their previous selves, and convulsions they seem to forget, just in time for the next one. They become frighteningly aware of the diverse realms between dimensions and so much more, feeling it only in their bones, but in every possible variation of their ancestors' bones as well. It seems that insanity, or rather the fear of it, is a distant memory in this continuity. Bigger things to worry about, I guess. They remain static within their simple personas for now. You're musicians. They shrug, exchanging glances of a kind of "we've come this far" attitude, not knowing just how many times this exact moment has passed. Sorry. You guys will find your legs soon enough. I know this is trippy. At first. He presses the elevator button. You're safe. You're in good hands now. We're lousy musicians, says the out-of-place human covered in dog hair with a bewildered chuckle. We get a couple thousand views a month, and that's on every platform combined. He's met with hysteria from every person in the vicinity within the lobby. They hear a youthful voice gasp amidst the laughter. Wait, Spider asks. This is all fine and dandy, but why aren't we losing our minds completely right now? Francois smiles. Good question, Spider. I'll inform you when we get to my hive. Technically, you are flipping out. Royally. We've just isolated your psychosis within a magic pocket dimension. You know. Anyways. Come on. The hyper-futuristic building they entered seemed to vibrate. It was impossibly clean, imbued with a feeling of home. The people surrounding them seemed not to want to look directly at them. His associates fade into the background as if they've never been there before. We admire your work, Francois says. You could say, pausing for a moment to soak it all in. I don't know about where you're from, but in the inner dimensions, we fuck with you. You're the architects. Wait, what does that mean? Asked the girl in green. It means around here, you're music royalty. The elevator doors open to an impossibly large room with a cathedral ceiling dimly lit by ethereal chandeliers, and behind a glass wall on the farthest side, a massive dance club. Dude, Spider says. Anything can be a wonderful foundation for a good song, a good story, the uniqueness, and don't take that in the wrong way, of your music. Each of yours, different enough, but held together through an eternal bond. Lights of hues never experienced before, and a feeling of giddiness reverberate through the place. It's the basic building blocks. You three get it. You get what music is about. Freedom. They can feel the throbbing bass within senses unfamiliar and strange to them. Please, let me show you, said the Hornet Man. Oh, and I wasn't lying about the pie. Within the obscurity, you find your rest. A silent observer, a detached guest. The world outside, a fleeting scene. In your tranquil darkness, you remain unseen. Life is for the living. Death is for the dead. Let life be like music, and death a note unsaid. Langston Hughes. The Electric Noir. In the seclusion, a spectral hue emanates from the TV, creating a mysterious play in the dark. The cathode spark bathes the space in passive shadows, setting the stage for an intriguing scene. The gang follows closely behind Francois, the hornet-like being heading towards the closely guarded elevator near the end of the long, well-lit tunnel. The elevator is bathed in a mesmerizing light that defies explanation. They stare blankly into the visualizations on the wall, so vivid and haunting, the three of them find it hard to stand. Magic. As they ascend, vast rooms unfold through the elevator's windows, each hosting creatures, aliens, by the hundreds. The dimensions vary and the themes shift, creating a surreal tapestry. The momentum slows as they feel a rush of gravitational forces pull through their bodies. Ambient lights transition from darker to brighter, yet non-blinding as they exit. They step onto the landing, high above, overlooking glowing oceans, lit from within that defy existence. We've crashed here for a century or so, though in worlds like these, time feels eternal, Francois says. Pointing to a screen, he adds, "So here's the deal," displaying the enchanted forest and their van in near real time. Francois continues, "This asshole can walk through screens if you make eye contact, so don't look for too long," he chuckles. "Now, your music is great, right? In this pocket dimension, we've copyrighted almost everything, but your unique take on music seems to boggle the algorithm." Francois opens a hidden compartment in the fridge, revealing a substantial pie. "Right, the pie." Spider remarks, "Dude, that is a nice pie," starting toward it. Tension spikes as the Hornet Man brandishes a laser rifle, disintegrating it. "No!" the gang screams. The insectoid gazes at them, snaps his fingers, and associates emerge from the walls, forcibly grabbing them. Francois admits, "I lied about the pie." Pointing the laser rifle at them, holographic barrels materialize, aiming at all three of them. With a click, the world plunges into darkness. Inside, the Plymouth Voyager, screams echo through the forest. Soon, laughter builds. "Wow, I guess we fell asleep," says the one in red flannel. The woman in green adds, "Yeah, huh? I think we're missing something." Spider checks his camera. "Nope, got it right here." The beast's memory card is full. Near the end of the footage, Francois screams in his alien tongue, and a shadow engulfs the room. Thoughts, screams, and the shadow itself resonate, revealing a face shrouded in indistinct pain. "I'm taking you back. You don't belong here. It's for your safety, and I hope you understand." In unison, they inquire, "What about the pie? We were promised pie." The shadow responds solemnly, "There was never any pie. The pie was always a lie. Can't you see? You must see." As they awaken, the shadow dissipates, finding themselves back in their van before venturing into the woods. Spider turns to the girl in green flannel. "Well, I guess we can worry about pie later." In a dim-lit room, shadows come to play. You, an enigma in the city's gray. TV channels flicker, cold and lone. A passive dance, a world unknown. As the wheelbarrow clunks, dumping beside the cottage, the woman rises slowly, asking, "What was that?" "Oh, nothing," the man replies. "It's sorted. Let's go inside." They enter the living room of the small house, surrounded by a fence, opposite a now desolate expanse of scorched earth. "Within," she says, "I don't even know what to say, but all I'm saying is, I'm sleeping now." Almost falling, she reaches the bedroom and planks onto the bed, snoring instantly. He mutters, "I knew it. Narcolepsy." Turning on the TV, he watches the game's preliminary periods, detailing highlights, almost nodding off, until a bell rings at the door. He opens it to find his friend, a man in priest clothes with an electric scooter. A simple "Oi" and a nod precede their entry, settling on the scratchy 1970s couch. Not much is said until one of them offers a beer, both opening and waiting. Simultaneously, they both say, "I've had one hell of a night," before looking at each other and sharing a laugh. "You too," they say as well in unison. The old man grunts and the priest adds, "Yeah, I was dealing with vampires. I had this demon from a completely different dimension making noise and racket for a couple of months. Went over there, talked to it, finally. Now it's sorted. So, anyways, the sister's there in the room. She's having a nap, so we can't keep it too loud. But I've been wanting to watch this game for months, haven't you?" The holy man nods. A shadowy figure glides through the air, drawing closer. Lonely watcher in the city's drone. TV hums, a monotone moan. Shadows deepen, world on display. Yet in your heart, loneliness holds sway. The turquoise Bel Air hurtles along the uneven road, navigating the heavy rain with screams echoing from his tires. Puddles hydroplane dangerously, nearly causing a collision with an old truck carrying a camper. Curses from the truck behind fill the air as the Chevy barrels down the highway. The horns of a dark black semi-rig explode across the wasteland silence, growing louder. Glancing back, the camper truck vanishes, replaced by the looming shadow of a giant tractor trailer churning the pavement. The oily-haired young man rummages through his duffel bag, left hand on the wobbling wheel. He wraps a black amulet around his neck with one hand. He clutches an illuminated mason jar to his chest. Eyes shut, he recites a prayer, invoking a sense of replacement, a shift in existence. The car screeches to a halt and vanishes. A glowing red pentagram etched into the pavement begins to fade. The semi-truck slows, halting just before the vanished portal on the ground. From the truck emerges a shadow, positioning itself directly above the scorched earth where the portal once existed. Auburn hair flowing, the shadows dissipating, smoke drifting from her leather-clad figure. Her screams pierce the air as a van plummeting from the sky, an old Plymouth Voyager, lands on top of her. The van is unscathed, and three figures, rattled by the experience, emerge. A 22-year-old boy in red flannel, a 27-year-old girl in green flannel and a toque, and an angry metalhead in all black with band patches holding a broken camera. "Lisa, are you okay?" inquires the man in black. "I'm all good, Spider," she replies. "Are you okay?" she asks the red flannel-wearing boy. "Yeah, it's okay." "Are you sure, Danny?" she probes. "I'm okay, but wait, what the heck is going on here?" "Who invited Satan?" he says, pointing at the big rig. "And why are we in the desert?" "You know what? At this point, I don't care," says Spider, coughing. "If there's anywhere close that can sell smokes, I'll be set." Attempting to restart the van, the Plymouth Voyager remains lifeless. Exiting the van once again, they approach the semi-truck, scrutinizing it. As Spider moves to touch it, a loud, feminine growl reverberates from the truck. "Be gone!" They immediately step back as a shadowy mass emerges from the semi-truck, enveloping them. Nothing is visible. They lose touch with reality once again. Through channels you wander, a jaded gaze. A disconnected world, a quiet daze. Loneliness echoes in the TV's glow. A spectral figure lost in the show. Calls echo, and the gang finds themselves in a lavishly elegant lounge resembling a 1930s hotel reception, impeccably preserved. Spider eyes the trio in confusion as they take in the surroundings, seated in neat leather chairs. Lisa laughs. "What?" he says. They exchange glances. This day can't get any worse, can it? Or is it getting better? A woman with long auburn hair and black eyes, candles flickering within, enters. "I'm sorry, but you're not supposed to be here," she states. They look at each other. "It's not like we had a choice," Lisa says. The witch walks over, placing a hand on her shoulder. She bends over. "No, you don't seem to understand. You are now entering a world in which I wish you had never been a part of. Unfortunately, you have seen too much. It's not that I have the responsibility of clearing this from you. But as I have been told, you have not only crossed several dimensional barriers, but also, through doing so, have left all of you individually disillusioned, giving a sense of mundane derealization to all that's going on around you." Spider looks at her. So, it's unfathomably incorrect to assume that you will meet any kind of circumstances to your benefit once that is stripped from you. I don't know why you're still here, but perhaps you've tethered yourself within the liminal spaces between dimensions and are now immortal. That's supposed to be a bad thing? I don't know in what world that's a bad thing, but whatever, you do you, says the red flannel 22-year-old. She looks at them all and says, "Well, you're definitely going to be in for a ride, that's for sure." She walks over to the center of the room underneath a giant crystal chandelier and outstretches her hands, twirling slowly. "Welcome to the Electric Noir," she says. "The Electric what now?" says Spider, almost chuckling. She looks off into the distance. "We are infinity. We are the darker recesses of the mind. We are not only your dreams. We are the magical beings. We are ethereal. We are shadowy figures of the night eternal. And here, in this world, you will only find pain and suffering. Good luck," she says. The whole room starts to brighten as lights from all around, including candles, begin to glow. Gas lanterns and crystal chandeliers crackle in the light. And then darkness. They wake up. Dawn begins to shine its light through misty trees. Chilled to the bone, they realize the heat had not been on the entire night. Bewildered, they ponder. They pick up the intact camera, and Spider inspects it from all angles. Full battery, clear memory, save for a couple of test shots he made on the way up. Looking at each other, they share a moment of unspoken horror. A rush of extreme emotions courses through them, remnants of the dreamscape they experienced for only a split second, enough to make them jolt in their seats. Spider, almost throwing up, puts the camera down. "Let's go," he says. They turn on the van and start driving away down the dirt roads back towards town. In silence, they question in their minds, why did they feel so calm? So serene amidst unimaginable things. The dreams were vivid, too real in their minds. They get closer to town and forget about the adventure completely. Driving through their old neighborhood, they stop at their apartment building and walk up the large external stairs towards their shared 2-bedroom unit. They all have a moment of rest. It seems like several lifetimes have been sucked away and then placed right back into them. Looking out the window, they assume things will be all right. And then a knock comes at the door. Spider approaches, looking through the people, and gasps. He backs away, slowly, as the door snaps open. A woman with blood-red hair, flowing, and tiny candle-lit eyes enters the room as darkness starts to dim the lights and suck emotion from everything. She says calmly, coolly, pain and suffering. In the apartment silence, shadows blend, TV whispers, a lonesome trend. Passive observer, worlds collide. Loneliness lingers, a silent guide. The Electric Noir. In a dim-lit room where shadows play, you sit alone as the night gives way, a silent observer in the softest chair as dawn tiptoes in, unaware. Outside, the world begins to stir, a symphony of tweets, a gentle whir. Yet, in the quiet of your solemn place, you linger, watching, lost in grace. Coniferous trees puncture the tin can overcast skies as mist chokes and filters vision with vapor. The small town sits on the edge of a turbulent ocean, sparse residents marking a once bustling place. Down a lonesome road cutting through gnarled pines and wicked blackberry bushes, atop a hill, a white stucco building for low-income housing stands, racked with neglect. A 1957 Chevy Bel Air nears, its gurgling engine slowing as it rolls in. It silences its small block several yards away from an old green dumpster with plastic tops and a graffiti sign that reads M+B. The driver taps his hands on the steering wheel, then pulls out a deck of Marlboros, extracting one with his teeth. Honking the horn, he lights the cigarette, seemingly from his hands and nothing else. The driver jumps as screams penetrate his awareness. From above, blood rushes out through the sliding glass door and sprays the car's hood. A head ricochets off of the window, leaving a slight chip, and tumbles into the parking lot, hitting the parallel fence. A girl with blonde hair and green denim jumps onto the Chevy and then onto the ground. The gangly young man opens the door, waving his arms. "Listen, I'll catch you, just please don't damage the car." The slightly taller man with long, straight hair, a dyed bluish-black, ignores him and lands on the hood, leaving marks with his combat boots. "You gotta get us out of here, dude," said Spider, attempting to open the turquoise car's door with both hands. "What makes you think you're getting any favors from me?" says the man in white and black with slick black hair. Spider stops and approaches him with an outstretched hand, grasping. They both look up at the inky shadows approaching from the balcony. Through the haze, Spider sees candlelit eyes, his expression paling. Yelling towards the dumpster, the owner of the Chevy starts to whistle and clap. "Got it!" The dumpster lid opens slightly, revealing a 3-foot wingspan vampire bat with goggles and a laser pistol on its belt. "Get your ass over here," Jester says. Yeah, it's all good, Jester. Don't have a cow." Pointing at the witch emerging, Jester exclaims, "She's back!" I know, the bat says, crawling towards the car on the ground, whilst humming a tune. His laser pistol scrapes against the concrete. "Come on, you can fly!" "Oh yeah," he says as he gets up, flies over and perches on his shoulder, wrapping his wing around Jester's head. "Food," says the bat. "We are so fucked," says Lisa, with tears starting to form. "I want my eggs, over easy," says the critter as he plays with the tiny pistol with robotic arms coming from his waist. He then aims the illuminated pupils, nearing them with the darkness. "You won't be smiling for long." A rainbow beam cracks her right in the temple. She vanishes, and instantly, a flying Eggs Benedict plummets towards the car. The bat catches it with his feet, hollandaise sauce splattering on the window, mixing with the blood. "Change of plans," Jester said, opening the doors almost by telekinesis. The four of them jump in, and the windshield wipers wash away the bodily fluids stuck to the glass. "Congratulations, you lived," says the bat. "We're part of an intergalactic UFO death cult that brainwashes and eats people. Welcome aboard." "Yeah, just don't turn us into a sandwich and we're cool," Spider says. "Should be more concerned about pies," Jester says. "Huh?" Spider mumbles. "Never mind." The awkward duffel bag is squished between them. The two of them notice something drawing them in, calling to them. "Don't touch the bag," Jester says, spinning the car around in its place. They both look away. The bat is still munching on the steaming English muffin. Jester peels out of the parking lot, whipping it out onto the street. Air raid sirens shriek throughout town as they drive towards the middle of nowhere. Trees grow larger until the beach disappears. Winding through the mountains, the road turns to gravel, then mud. Reaching the entrance of a nice wooded area deep in the rainforest, they stop. "Sorry to break it to you guys, but you're supposed to die back there." Jester pulls out his duffel bag, placing it on the hood. They gather around as he beckons them close. "When I say, pull the weapon in here out and hold it until I make a clicking sound with my mouth, then let go." 6 armored assassins emerge from the shadowy woods. Their attention is set on Jester as he says, "Now! You will pay the highest of prices. Judgment is upon you," says the lead assassin. "Where are your weapons, bugmen?" Jester chuckles. "We are going to rip you limb from limb, liquefy your brain, and then lay eggs in it. When we put you back together, that's where the fun begins." Spider and Lisa find an old mason jar in the duffel bag and slowly roll the contents out onto the hood. 2 large crystal dice fall out, and they each pick one up. The dice flash. Spider looks at his. It flashes purple, and for Lisa, hers flashes red. They feel a deep sense of overwhelming calm. They feel connected, for a moment, connected to eternity. Explosions erupt around them as laser blasts shower the area, mulching the gunmen. Spider and Lisa are in a gleeful trance, unaware of the danger surrounding them. "Let's get out of here," they say, tossing the dice aside. As the dice hit the ground, they hear a bell ring throughout the cosmos. And then silence. In the dank and dark metallic chamber, Lisa and Spider come to. A snarling raccoon in the corner stares at them. "It might have rabies," Spider says. "It definitely does, and it wants you to have them," says the bat, with glowing perfectly round goggles perched in the opposing corner. He plays with the laptop. The only noise is the thrumming of an unseen engine
and the snarls of the trash panda with his eyes locked onto the two. A crackling comes from around them. "Hey guys," says an unfamiliar voice from the speakers in the walls. "The bat is Midnight, the raccoon is Bandit, that asshole is Jester." It momentarily pauses. "You are," the voice says to Jester. "And I'm the captain. Just call me Captain." Danny and Lisa notice the similarity between the raccoon's face and the flags and stickers strewn about the place. "So here's the deal. We gotta deliver those dice to Mars. The only problem is, there's no way to deliver them." "Not true," says Bandit in a low, feminine grumble. The room adorned in hues of gray. You unmoved in the dawn's ballet. The sun creeps in with a golden glow, yet on the couch you choose to go slow. Birdsong weaves through the morning air, a melody inviting you to care, but you, a figure in the shadows deep, continue watching, a secret to keep. The streets are covered in garbage, litter, syringes, inhalers, bottles and cans. Shadows scurry from streetlight to streetlight. Cold nights, hot days. Neon signs illuminate XXX theaters, drugstores, liquor stores, gun shops, and debaucherous venues as abandoned skyscrapers reach into the gusting red storm. Heading northeast through the city, buildings begin to illuminate, shedding their vacant, shadowy appearance, transforming into a vibrant, flowing, eclectic pleasure utopia of the Strip. Casinos with various themes line the streets, but one in particular stands out. At the end of a very long cul-de-sac lined with palms, El Paradiso. A large white building with dark tinted windows, a bleached fountain in front, and a giant zeppelin floating above. In the cabin, on the underbelly of the massive zeppelin, eyes impatiently scan the roads, tarpaulin blue in color. Mahogany, lush carpets, exotic animal furs, old leather-bound books, ferns and tropical trees evoke the spirit of the jungle within the cabin. At the large bay window overlooking the Strip, a man in a pinstripe suit with brick red skin paces back and forth. He checks the roads once more before heading to a fridge disguised as a bookcase. He pulls out a jug, pouring a shot of ectoplasmic green liquor. If one looks closely, faces emerge within the liquids. He places it on the ground as a three-headed chihuahua laps up the fluid, its fur glowing a darker red. The man inhales the entire jugs, burps loudly, scares the dog, and grabs a large green cigar from his mahogany desk. Puffing on the cigar, he stares at the CRT monitor on his desk, which blinks to life. The turquoise Chevrolet on a different planet appears as hornet-like assassins approach them. He spits on the ground, the spit tinged by green drink, and turns off the monitor. If that damned AI doesn't reboot faster, I'm ordering a new one. Placing his hand on the side of his head, a telecommunicator appears as a hologram. Ladies and gentlemen, our proud patrons, you all mean so very much to us here at the casino, but I regret to inform you that we are closing early today. If you have difficulty leaving the establishment before my associates start firing at you, I hope you do come back. And soon, because if you don't, I will personally find you and pull the life out of you. Thank you. As daylight conquers the dark's embrace, you're a silhouette in that quiet space. Outside, the world awakens with glee, yet your gaze holds apathy. Feathers rustle, wings take flight, nature's canvas painted in light. But in your haven, a somber trance, you watch, unmoved, in a silent dance. Spider and Lisa sit cross-legged around a short table in the center of the room, eating bowls of instant ramen. Spider taps away on the table with his chopsticks in sort of a drum roll. He then stops. I don't actually remember the last time I heard a metal song, he says. If you wanted music, you should have asked, Bandit says, pulling out a tiny set of CDJs. The music begins to play. It's not metal, but has a dark edge to it that Spider nods his head to. He begins echoing chopped up jazz breaks. I've heard this before, Lisa says. I know, Spider says. It's one of ours. Actually, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but you're not you, Midnight says, eyes locked on his computer. Your memories were replaced. This just keeps getting better. I'm literally always just assuming that we'll wake up in the van, Spider says. And as far as the music, Midnight glares at them over the brim of his screen. It's our music that they stole, and then they went and programmed you with the memories of creating them. He stands up, and Bandit facepalms. Copyrights in at least 13 systems. Copyrights in at least 13 systems. But try telling that to that daylight bastard. A man slightly shorter than Jester enters the chamber through a pressurized door from a vast hallway. He wears a black hoodie and a black pair of sweatpants, with Bandit's face printed on both of them. Hey, I'm the captain. He smiles warmly, relaxed. Now that we've got a moment of peace, I can show you around. A loud buzzing sound pierces the air. The captain toggles a switch above his head, and two of the walls seem to evaporate, exposing the vastness of space. The giant red planet towers over them, and on the other side, a slightly less impressive space station shaped like a hockey puck. Lisa and Spider gape at the sight, drooling almost. The man in the hoodie bashes the console above him a couple times and the buzzing stops. This thing is falling apart. Where was I? They still watch, shaken to the core as the spaceship begins to enter the smoky paprika haze. Guys? They begin seeing silhouettes of gargantuan skyscrapers rise through the dust. Oh, right. He opens a cubby beside Bandit and grabs a pill bottle. Take one of these, both of you, and it won't feel like you're on a roller coaster ride through hell. They're petrified. The effects of the simulation must be wearing off, Jester says as he enters the room. 1 sec, says the captain. In the next room, it's well lit and vast. He returns with 2 cans of beer. Here. He lifts Lisa and puts a pill in her mouth. Just swallow, trust me. Midnight holds back a laugh, and Bandit groans. He repeats this for Spider, and within moments, the two of them stand up. One of you needs to tell me what the fuck is going on, Lisa says in a monotone and completely percussive way. Getting into the captain's space. Everything will be revealed. We'll link you up with the neural network, Midnight says. No more bullshit. Just tell me now, straight. We're most likely going to die on Mars, and the devil is going to strip your souls from the dice and then turn them into dust to then snort and get high off of, Jester says. Let's just roll the dice. You saw how it got us into the ship, right? I teleported you in here, the captain says. Lisa opens her hand and nods at Spider, and the two Dice materialize floating above their fingers. Wait, it doesn't work that way, says Jester, flinching. If you roll anything but a perfect 12, who knows what'll happen? If you roll a snake eyes, I don't even want to imagine. Isn't that kind of the point? A room that now bathes in morning's hue, yet in your silence a solitude brews. Chirping birds, a lively parade, yet you stay seated, undismayed. The world outside whispers tales, but within a solemn veil prevails. Your eyes unyielding, don't betray, a watcher in the break of day. The Electric Noir.
The valet entrance lights up with lasers blasting unsuspecting folks, stumbling away from the henchmen. The man in the pinstripe suit, tall and lean, snaps his fingers at a turquoise Chevy that pulls up to the doors. Bob, with a shit-eating grin, calls out with a hand pointing at the emerging Jester. "My man, you got them sweet cubes?" Jester nods. Bob hands the captain a golden card. "Fill your boots, Captain. There's a plenty on there." Jester nods to the captain. "You're coming with me." Jester and Bob follow the armed men towards the elevators. He whispers to Jester, "We need to talk." In the elevator made with rich brass and gold, with Art Deco engravings, Bob laughs once. The henchman beside him nervously chuckles. The room gets silent, with only the grinding of gears heard like a Leviathan clock. "Can't be too careful these days, can we, Patrick?" Bob stares directly into Jester. Patrick grunts, shuffling in place with his fists clenching and raising slowly. "The name's Ricky, boss," he mumbles. Bob snaps his hand in the shape of a gun aimed at Ricky's head, and he evaporates instantly. Jester stands up straighter. "Fancy a drink?" he says. Jester hesitates. "On the house." The room, humid and reeking of tropical fruit and something unbearably exotic, like a spice, stands thick with heat as the two of them enter. Sitting on the blue leather chair, the only blue thing in sight being that the room was bathed in hues of burgundy, mahogany, and dark green foliage. A rack is taking up space on the massive desk with a small monitor on the corner. "I know those two fused with the dye, my boy," Jester shrugs. "I'm gonna strip it from their souls and snort the remains. You know that, right?" "I don't care. They're yours," Jester says. He pulls a tiny turquoise coupe from his pocket, then a Plymouth Voyager in worn purple. "What's the van for?" "It's what's in the van," Bob says, pocketing it. The Bel Air gets stowed in the plastic rack, sitting neatly with all manner of automobiles. "When you collapsed the pocket dimension with those bugmen, I reaped a massive amount of their souls and had Steve put them in the container with the van's engine bay. I'll pass on the drink." Bob looks down his nose at the young man in the varsity jacket. "What?" he asks. "You'll come around." He sips the green liquid and smiles an oozing grin at him. "I'll make damn sure of it," Bob says. He pulls out a small black and white car from the corner rack
and places it in Jester's hands. I'm sending your little lovebird to clean up the mess. We can do as you're told? He stares with neon eyes into the boy. Yes. The new Hades strip is slightly emptier than usual as the captain and Jester race through in their new ride. The black Mustang II with racing stripes gurgles sluggishly through the pothole-laden thoroughfare. People scurry and huddle around oil drum fires, and trash lies in heaps like snowbanks along the sidewalks. The lights blink and buzz as they weave around dead bodies and mounds of debris. They make a turn towards the downtown district and follow the road back to their launch pad. Did you win anything? Jester says, staring out the window at the dark, hollowed-out buildings. The captain smirks. I'm glad you asked. They both turn to each other. 1 billion. Devil coins? Jester asks. We can trade them off-world. The captain goes to flick on the radio, and Jester bats his hand away. She'll find us, idiot. Too late for that. The captain remarks, eyeing the rearview mirror. Jester's eyes follow as he shivers. 2 candles flicker surrounded by a dark haze in the back seat. Good to see you too, Carlos, says the witch, jagged teeth smiling at Jester, inches away from his ear. I'll do the soul ripping. You stay handsome. Down parallel blocks, Captain notices a big black semi keeping the pace of the little Ford. Air horns shatter glass as they bellow through the grungy and dilapidated streets of the dark districts. As shadows linger in this quiet domain, you, unfeeling, uncaring, remain. The sun ascends, a relentless sweep, yet you, untouched, in slumber, deep. With every breath, the day takes flight. Daylight floods, banishing the night. A mysterious watcher, now in repose. The morning story, only darkness knows. The skyscraper leaned slightly, but was a sturdy place to stow the ship. From the ground floor they could see the ship, a donut-shaped rusty mess with an escape pod in the center. It hovers just above the pad. The witch exits first, then followed by the 2 men. Their car shrinks into a dinky car form, and Jester places it in his jacket's pocket. They find the lift that remained in use on the exterior for the window washers who have long abandoned their jobs, and rise slowly towards the light, bathing everything in a cool glow. No, please, after you. The captain opens the door to his ratty old ship, and they all enter. Inside, the captain makes a tongue-click sound, leaving the witch scoffing. Then she vanishes. Bandit emerges from the dimly lit hallway, holding an Eggs Benedict. The captain points out, See? I told you I'd bring snacks. Alarms ring out in the city as the donut climbs towards the red haze of Mars's atmosphere. In the living quarters, Spider and Lisa exit the simulation pods, seemingly in a daze. The 2 of them enter the cockpit as the captain and Jester frantically navigate the storm. You open your eyes and ears to watch as the inky void of space begins to replace the red dust. They are undeterred by your presence. In a courtyard adorned with various stones and marbles, under the gaze of an ornamental harvest moon, a Leviathan castle stands tall, a cathedral dedicated to the night and the moon. At the end of this open sky courtyard, a throne resides. A woman of elegance and strength watches the gang through a portal hovering before her. We should only intervene once they've rolled, a voice from the shadows says. It is only a matter of time. Within the pitch-black containment chamber, an invisible body rises from a lying position like a plank of wood. It teleports into the darkness outside and floats towards civilization. The sentinels encircling the pyramid are immediately silenced and deleted from all realities within the flick of wrists. The being, a naked old man without any hair, imagines himself into a useful form as he plucks a pea-sized human skull from the ether and swallows it. The creature becomes another being, crackling with light. As it nears its destination, it sees a ratty spaceship entering orbit. Waiting outside its door, he senses something within, something beyond his simple persona, concealing unimaginable horror. The facade hides the most profound depths of dread. So you're all about that green, huh? Midnight scoffs as Lisa inspects the clothing booth. She looks at him and crosses her arms. Ever since we were kids, we used to wear different colors, mostly red and green. I liked green. Lisa pauses for a moment to look around. I haven't been away from Danny for this long before. Oh, you mean the head that dented Jester's car? Listen, I've never bitten a bat's head off, but I've seen it done before, says Spider, pointing at Midnight, teeth gritted. Jester enters the room with a hammer and starts smashing the little black car on the surface between Spider and Midnight, making Lisa jump. The AI can walk through mirrors, Jester says, walking away. Jester walks into the other chamber. Midnight starts sniffing the air. Nope, don't like it. Don't like it one bit, he says. What? Asks Spider. Midnight flies quickly into the next room with Jester. And Bandit flattens against the wall, growling. Danny! Lisa shrieks. She then pauses, staring at her brother, standing there. Danny? I am Daniel. I come bearing warm gifts of hopes and assurance to you. Please give me the dice. Danny's eyes are black holes, and his skin becomes whiter as the minutes go by. Comply, it screams, sending both of them into convulsions, writhing on the floor. Jester emerges from behind the abomination with a syringe in hand. He inserts the needle and plunges gray liquids into its neck. It bares its crooked teeth. I am Mother. You are to come with me. I will take the dice. We will assimilate, and I will end everything. Visions of black horror, isolation, fear, and the silence of the void fill Danny and Lisa's minds. An unending gallery of halls where the very walls and paintings are made of unending suffering. Then, Danny is gone. They open their eyes, covering every single inch of the room is ichor. Black, slimy vampire's blood. Jester walks slowly back into his quarters as they come to. Is it gone? Lisa asks. Midnight cries from the other room. Not for long. Let's do it. They roll the dice. Perfect fucking sixes. Under a starry night, a goddess on a throne beckons them. She laughs elegantly, pointing at the dice. The courtyard transforms, creating a granite table. They sit around it on stools that shift and rise from the courtyard. I am Selene, goddess of the moon, mother of vampires, the dream walker. A light shines from within them as they feel power imbuing their very fiber. Your perfect sixes are mine to entertain, and I shall give you both a gift. You emerge from the shadows, and Spider looks into your eyes. Who is this? Spider asks. Lisa looks confused. You reach out to touch him. In shadows deep, you wake unknown, a nameless figure all alone. Dim-lit apartment, the sun's last glow, whispers of dusk, secrets to bestow. Through the veils of darkness, the walls confide, a muted sunset where secrets hide, nameless echoes in the fading light, a silent journey embraced by night. The Electric Noir. In the dim-lit room, you sit alone, a silhouette against the TV's glow, a figure veiled, a mystery to unfold. As night descends, its stories are untold. In the goddess's court, she softly smiles as her moons for eyes gently glow, bathing Spider and Lisa in warmth. She calls to the shadows of the tunnel beyond, and a figure walks out. A woman with long black hair, an all-black dress, and a corset with black boots walks up, and a crow lands on her shoulder. You are very lucky to be welcomed into this court, and it is up to us to send you on the best possible path. Because of your intention, you are here. They look around for a moment, noticing that the shadowy being that was once there is gone. Who or what was that? It was very lucky that you caught a glimpse, but you would have to travel to Earth to find this being, unlock the gateway to heaven, and restore balance in the universe. What about that monster that became my brother? Lisa asks. By the time you reach Earth, you won't have to worry about that thing anymore. It is a lost soul, very powerful, but I'm here to look after you, and I won't let anything, not even that thing, of unimaginable power get to you. Just know that even if you do have to fight, if you do have to die, you will have helped more than you can know. If you can hang on to those dice, roll them when you need it, and perhaps you may even see more beings than myself and Morgan here. A portal opens up beside them, tall and wide enough for them to walk through. They see Bandit and Midnight cleaning up the mess with the little mops in the spaceship. Before they can ask about their journey, they are back in the room. Jester and the captain both gape at their new versions of their friends. Lisa stands in a strong stance on black combat boots with a dark green leather pencil skirt and a jacket that is cut off at her chest, and a chestnut corset underneath. Her skin is pale, and her hair has been changed to a deep black and a pixie cut with slanted bangs. She smiles, showing big fangs. Her eyes shine a soft reddish glow, looking like big strawberry moons. Spider is wearing black leather armor, ornate and embroidered with silver thread, and his hair is braided like a Viking's. His eyes are white and smoky as fog emanates from his body and eyes. A large chain made of silver is around his neck, and it seems like his muscles have even doubled in size. About time, the captain says. He looks at them. They look down at themselves. Both staring into each other's haunting faces, they nod. We're going to Earth, Lisa says sternly, with gravitas in her voice. For what? Jester asks. For the gateway to heaven, Spider says. Heaven? Jester scoffs. We can't even get to Earth without getting through my dad. We're not going back there, Captain orders. What else are we going to do? Midnight asks. Don't start with me, says Captain. Midnight yells at the sat-nav. We're going to Mars, Midnight says. The ship's AI echoes through the cabins, stating the course for New Hades, and Jester corrects it, sending them towards the town of Pleasant Falls, close by. Shadows dance. your silent kin. In the quiet dusk, a world within. The screen flickers, tales untwine. A nocturnal journey, your soul aligns. The donut rests in a vacant lot beside an old amusement park. Less garbage is strewn about than in New Hades' main centers, but shadows dart about beyond eyesight. The night on Mars is a blustery at best, and the gang are feeling it. The escape pod lifts from its holding mount and settles next to them. Midnight pokes his head out. They gather around an old Winnebago chieftain parked across the street. The captain shouts at it. "Disable incognito mode," he says. The windows of the old RV extend plate metal with gun slits. The other parts, including wheels, receive armor as well as a big cow catcher on the bow. Miniguns, flamethrowers, and rockets appear on the exterior. "Fuck me, we going to war?" asks Spider, laughing. "Just in case we run into trouble on our way," says Captain. "What about when we get there?" "If we get there." Lisa looks nervously at them. "Let's just get this thing going already," she says. They enter the bus and the critters stay behind in the pod. Starting up the vehicle, they feel the thing vibrate and shake with power. The novelty horn honks, and they're off, floodlights shining through the black, dusty streets. The strip is lined with hot rods, flame paint jobs and twin V8 engines, T-buckets and choppers. At the end of the road is a giant semi-truck with inky shadows emanating from it. A loud siren wails out over the district as the Zeppelin unhooks from its base at El Paradiso and begins hovering towards the towers beyond. A loud metallic rumbling vibrates everything imaginable as things begin to get darker and darker. Gargantuan shield walls close off the city from the skies. Everything becomes as black as possible. Lisa is almost unaware of the change in light, but asks about the rumbling. "You're going to be very useful right now," says Jester to Lisa. "It's weird being able to see so well. I used to have contacts before. This." The roads into town are dotted with fires that reflect off of the blood-soaked brick walls of the buildings. Lisa points out them as to not hit them. Even with the lights, it's hard to make out everything. The darkness is thick, and the silence is aggressive. They drive on main roads and arch their way through the highways, heading north, trying to flank the casino. Trying not to make too much sound, they begin to slow as they draw closer to the strip. They could see light glowing off the buildings from far away. "So I get it. We're somehow powerful now or something. How does this work?" asks Spider. Jester flashes a scanner at Spider and looks blankly at its screen. "Says here, unknown." "Great," Spider grunts. "Wait," Captain says. "I think I see... Yeah, it's her all right." "Who?" Lisa asks. "The one who killed your brother." "Look," Jester says. "That crazy witch lady? How are we supposed to fight her without the breakfast gun thing?" Lisa asks. "I thought we'd let you sort her out," says the captain. "Me?" she asks. "Nobody is sorting her out." Jester spits. "She's an AI, man. She's not your girl no more," says Captain, and Jester punches the cupboards and walks into the back of the Winnebago. "What's his deal?" Spider asks. "Used to be his girlfriend. Dad put her brain into a computer. Now she's a monster that walks through mirrors." "Like that?" Lisa points at the rear view. "Smart mirrors only. This baby's all analog." Lisa watches as the semi-rig drives slowly around the bend many blocks beyond them. "I guess they didn't see us?" "Nope." Ambush. The city hums, the stars peek through, your thoughts, a river, winding true. As eyelids close, dreams softly creep. In the dark apartment, you embrace sleep. A giant floodlight envelops the Winnebago. The captain mashes the throttle as they head directly towards the black semi-truck. Picking up speed, the captain pulls a left turn, drifting the RV into a tunnel leading below the stadium. As they drive through the tunnel, they hear engines and machine guns fire. Looking through the back small window, they watch fire-breathing hot rods and motorcycles follow them. Air horns scream, indicating she's on her way. Being chased through the tunnel, the captain motions to Jester, who presses a button in the back. A hatch opens and landmines fling out onto the road behind them. Choppers and hot rods explode, almost crumpling in the tunnel. "The heck is that?" Spider asks. Its headlights glow red, and he hears it breathing with green plumes from its exhausts. A monstrous truck squats, waiting to leap. The engine sounds like a tornado. "Listen, I'm gonna kick you guys out. Take a service tunnel along and meet me on the top side." "Fuck that, dude, you're dead meat," Jester protests. "Get off my bus." And the three of them are teleported into the service exit nearest to them. They watch in horror as the black semi-truck slowly nears the RV. It drives right behind it. Intimate. Jester grabs their shoulders. They resist. "Come before she kills us all." As they slink into the darkness, they hear the horns explode as the Winnebago sounds like it's being disintegrated. The tunnels snake through the thick cobwebs and must. It smells like rotten mulch and grime. They constantly feel like they're being watched. Finally, reaching the surface in an old abandoned bank, they head towards where they think the strip is. Lisa stops. "Guys, come back," she pleads. They approach her. Her eyes are wide. "Who are those people?" She points towards the darkness. "Who?" asks Spider. "The dead," Jester responds. A mass of half-eaten people slowly wander around the near exit to the bank. They stand there, thinking of an escape route. Rumbling begins all over again as the light of day begins to spread across the street. "Well, shit," Jesper whispers loudly. "What?" Lisa asks. "You're a vampire." "I'm a vampire," she says, holding her head with both hands. "Well, at least we're not far from the Earth portal." Jester points towards the tall white building with the Zeppelin docking. "Home sweet home." He laughs, and some of the corpses murmur. "Once night falls, we'll ambush that sucker. I know all the back doors." As they share a moment of peace, a ground-shattering explosion engulfs El Paradiso in a mushroom cloud of epic proportions. The Electric Noir. The shadows play in the dim light, and the scent of gasoline, burning, coats the cement walls. The AI scans the area, aware of no life forms. She slowly starts towards the burning cabin and steps into the Winnebago, blown in half. No blood. She looks into the driver's seat and gasps. Sitting upon the seat is an explosive device with a countdown clock reaching 0. She braces for the blast, but nothing happens. She opens her eyes slightly. 0. The CB radio turns on and the voice of one captain
laughs. She groans. A cloud of inky fog travels like lightning towards the big rig, driving casually down the tunnel. It stops short. Lying upon the ground is half of a talisman. She plucks it from the asphalt. "My truck," she says, slumping down, cross-legged. "My truck," Captain says, as he studies the ornate instrument pad. The amber glow within the Peterbilt brightens. The captain cracks his knuckles and pulls the ornate string above his head. The horns echo throughout the abandoned skyscraper surrounding him. "Always wanted to do that," he says. Just as this happened, the convoy splits up and starts to drive off towards the strip with all the vehicles sounding their horns. He grimaces. So that's what that means. In the dim-lit room, you sit on the couch. You form a silhouette, a shape to slouch. The TV flickers, casting eerie light, as whispers of unease dance through the night. The crackle of the screen, a portal wide, invites you into where reality hides. In this liminal space, betwixt dream and sight, you ponder if you're lost in sleep's tightened might. Spider, Lisa, and Jester walk slowly through the bank. The blast shields begin to raise once more, and streetlights hum and sputter as darkness floods the street just outside the strip. "Convenient," says Jester. They scoff. "Days on Mars last a long time. We would have been screwed. Well, you'd have been." His eyes make contact with Lisa's glowing saucers. "I'm not sure if what I'm feeling is natural," she says. Jester makes solid eye contact. "What?" "Look, none of this is in any way natural, but you'd hate it if it was," Jester says. He begins walking towards the shambling corpses, and the two others follow. "What was that supposed to mean?" Lisa says under her breath. Spider and Lisa stop 20 feet before the corpses and watch as Jester disappears within the crowd as he pushes through. They look at each other and shrug. Both of them gently push one zombie after another as they make their way towards the casino. The dead put up no more protest than a weak groan or a pained expression. The glow of the fire is easy to follow. They spot Jester up ahead and make haste. The people stumbling around begin to disperse as they follow Jester through an alley. They hear a rumbling sound as they huddle behind a dumpster. Dystopian vehicles forming a small convoy quickly drive past as an immediate wave of noise raises, then quickly subsides. Jester looks at them, beckoning them closer with his hand. They have a moment of silence. Jester looks towards the opening to the alley where the cars and bikes drove past. "Okay," he sighs. "Dad's gonna be pissed." "Dad?" asks Spider. Bob is the man who owns the casino that's now engulfed in flames. He's also my old man. Very powerful. Does not get fucked with often. "Who did it?" asks Lisa. "Yeah, you seem like you know," says Spider. "Well, it wasn't the flying rat or the trash panda. Most likely a cult member." "What are you on about now?" Spider asks. "All will be explained momentarily." The three of them walk for hours. What seemed like a short jaunt becomes a long approach as the grand size of the casino is noted. They marvel at the rubble. Rounding the back side of the gargantuan building, they find a sewage tunnel in a ravine. The opening is just taller than Jester. They slowly edge down the cliffside, sticking to the cement walkways on either side of the toxic river. As they reach the gated entrance to the underbelly of Paradiso, a figure emerges from the riveted door. A tall man with burnt red skin, a white pinstripe suit, and a glowing sky blue eyes emerges. He bumps his head against the top of the door with an audible clank and mumbles something. "That's coming out of your allowance, my boy," Bob says with a shit-eating grin. "Hey, don't look at me," Jester says, pointing at the darkened sky behind them. Lisa and Spider look into the shadow. "You're looking for this?" Lisa looks back. Bob pulls out an ornate device in the shape of a scarab. "Are we?" asks Lisa. Spider stares backward still. "You can have it if you can take it from my hands," Bob says. He glares through the vampire. They maintain eye contact for a solid minute. She tilts her head. "I have no idea what it is." Bob deflates a bit. He swivels the wings out from the platinum scarab's back, and light blinds the three for a moment. They shield their eyes. Looking back, Spider notices something familiar. "It's our home," Spider yells. Lisa peers through the glow. A young man washes the dishes in a bright red flannel jacket. They make out the white walls and the general disorder of the place. They can smell the recently cooked Thai curry, Danny's favorite. "All we have to do is take it from you?" Lisa growls. "You have my word," Bob exclaims. But before she can blink, the glow snaps off and the scarab begins to melt into liquid and dribble onto the landing. "Which means you don't have shit, sweetie." Jester walks behind him, and they both start walking towards the tunnel. Spider and Lisa feel like following them, but are frozen in place. Bob stops before the door and looks at them with almost a glint of pity. "You two are staying put. It won't be long before we rip your souls apart," he says. They watch as the door closes behind them. "Adios." In a flash, Spider and Lisa come to in a brilliantly white and gleaming room. There's a kitchen on one side, a large entertainment set with a massive TV and a set of seats. A hallway snakes off in both directions. They start towards a large window and what seems to be a balcony. The metropolis spans thousands of stories and miles in all directions. Rounded edges and an Art Deco style reminiscent of the Chrysler Building in New York. Shining stainless steel and beams of soft light illuminate the endless night below. An echoing voice proclaims, "This is the captain speaking. Our heroes have made it back from certain death. The ride goes on. Another beautiful addition to the UFO death cult. Rejoice." Thousands of voices roar out in a massive cheer. Next stop, Jupiter. In the hush of night, you find your place, upon the couch in shadow's embrace. The CRT hums, its glow allure, drawing you in, uncertainty pure. With every flicker, doubts arise. In the glow, truth wears its disguise. Genderless, nameless, you reside in this liminal space where worlds collide. As scenes unfold upon the screen, reality shifts, becomes unseen. A subtle unease begins to creep, as though in slumber, yet you still peep. Is this a dream or something more? The lines blur, truth's grip unsure. The apartment shrinks, walls closing in, a sense of dread beneath your skin. Panic whispers, a silent scream, as nightmare's hold tightens its gleam. You try to rise, but find you're bound by unseen chains, reality drowned. The Electric Noir. In the flicker of the CRT's light, the boundary between day and night begins to fade, a spectral line, as the nightmare's grip becomes entwined. Reality slips through fingers frail as you succumb to fear's dark tale, lost in the liminal betwixt and between, in this night's embrace, an uncertain scene. In the utopian Art Deco apartment, Spider and Lisa settle onto the wonderful suede couch, exhaling a sigh of relief. Without exchanging words, they both perk up at the sound of a flush echoing down the hallway. Intrigued, they rise and tread slowly down the narrow, immaculate corridor toward the assumed bathroom door. As they reach to knock, it swings open, revealing a skinny, pale teenager in silver attire, akin to pajamas, with harvest moons for eyes. Oh hey, the new roommates. He breezes past them. Glancing into the unfamiliar washroom, they follow him back to the living room. Lisa notices Spider's impending question, his face twisted in confusion, but she intervenes. What's going on? Who are you? Where are we? When will this trip end? The teenager chuckles to himself, meeting their gaze with a smirk. If it could end, I doubt you'd want it to. Seated in the alcove by the TV, they watch as he flicks it on, catching a fleeting glimpse of a forest reminiscent of one they once visited before the channel shifts to a Plymouth Voyager. Stop, they exclaim, but the teenager rebuffs. It's my TV. You can watch whatever you want later. Right now, it's my turn. He points to a screen displaying TV hours Danny 224. What happened to my brother? Lisa asks, staring at the boy. Oh, you mean the guy who exploded? Danny's fine, just somewhere else. I don't know how to react anymore. It's all happening so fast. Spider sighs. Danny 224 clears his throat. That's all you can do. Mom, the roommates are here, he calls out. At the mouth of the adjacent hallway, a middle-aged woman appears, her smile almost unsettlingly radiant. Oh, great. Another vampire, she remarks, causing them to shift uncomfortably. Carrying a tray adorned with 3 blood-red drinks, she places them on the ottoman before the trio. Her gaze falls on Spider apologetically. Sorry, I didn't get you something. She remarks before swiftly downing one of the drinks. Oh my, she mutters as the red liquid dribbles down her cheek, her eyes gleaming like crescent moons, hinting at the vast expanse of the universe beyond. I don't know if we have anything for you. What would you like to drink? Milk? I'm good. They settle around the TV as Danny 224 stows away the remote in a hidden compartment, plunging the room into darkness. Then, the mood lighting emits a soft glow. So, begins Danny 224, but before he can continue, Lisa interjects. Look, I don't understand any of this. We must be in a dream. Some vivid, comatose vision. The mother and son exchange a gentle smile. It's better than the alternative. What alternative? Spider asks. Isn't that the fun of it all? The mother says. She sighs. You're home now, under the captain's care, where we can all enjoy eternal bliss. I feel like a break from this bliss, quote unquote, Lisa says, looking into space. The main doors open as Midnight and Bandit make their entrance, followed by the captain in a more refined attire than the hoodie and cargo pants from before. The room falls into a heavy silence. The captain taking a seat as a chair materializes from the wall, breaks the tension. You're going to thank me for this, he says abruptly. They listen. You were slaves to a simulation. He casts a sympathetic look towards the mother, still beaming. The balcony doors open slightly. An announcement can be heard on the speakers outside. Freed from their grasp by an unnamed benefactor, the captain now seeks out other lost souls, offering them a choice between imprisonment or the blissful existence he has provided. Cap chuckles. The doors close. That explains it better than I can. Drawing out a scarab-like instrument from his pocket, Cap offers it to Lisa. She reaches out and plucks it, studying it. I saw this before. I still don't understand it. That devil man seemed to insinuate that it was a portal to our home. The captain nods. What home do we even have at this point? How about I let you think about it, he says. Deal, she says, pocketing the device. Cap gets up and the chair evaporates, and he starts to exit. Lisa and Spider exchange glances. Cap doesn't look back. You can't just leave. You've explained nothing. You have eons for that, he says without turning, and leaves the apartment. What now? Spider asks. Another announcement sounds through the wall speakers. Nearing Jupiter Station Alpha. For those wishing to take part in the Festival of the Moon Queen, please make your way to the boarding terminal, and our seasoned boarding crew will guide you safely to the surface of Europa. All participants are encouraged to be respectful of the Europans and to leave behind no refuse. Is there a bed? Lisa asks. A soft chime comes from the hallway where the mother had emerged. A warm voice comes over the speakers. Your bedroom is located at the far end of the hallway. I'm going to rest. Me too, says Spider, and a similar prompt is given to him. In your dim-lit room, shadows dance as you feel the pull, the fateful trance. A vortex beckons, its whispers dark, drawing you closer, leaving its mark. Your apartment, once a haven, now aglow, with crimson hues, an ominous show, each corner tainted by the void's call, as reality slips like leaves in fall. You grasp for solace, for something true, but the void's grip tightens, consuming you. Your senses blur, your essence frayed. As you fade into darkness, a soul is betrayed. Lost in the abyss, you dissolve away. No trace remains of night or day. In the void's embrace, you're finally free. A fleeting whisper in eternity's sea. Fog cakes the naked branches and skeletal structures of brick and iron that dot the frigid landscape. It's a chill that is ever present. Souls float manically through the dead vegetation and hide in dungeons, nooks and crannies carved out by eons of tormented souls going anywhere they could but where they are. The click of typewriters echo vast distances. The writers. To archive the forgotten stories left by those who had debt with the Reaper, they bound the souls to this bleak dimension. There are plenty of them, fresh, green, not fully materialized. Some, on the other hand, have been brooding here for many endless nights. The captain looks despondent. That's where I come in. Come on, can we save the formalities for someone else? Very well, says the woman levitating above the doormat on the veranda of a dilapidated cottage. Her black eyes gaze through the house. I shall explain this to the vampire, she says. He blinks, and she's gone. A scream is heard from the bedroom at the top of the stairs. You don't have to bring her up to speed, I've got this. Very well, she says, in between shrieks. He looks outside once more. The demon glides off backwards, hissing at him through needle-like teeth, then disappears into the fog. The sound of someone falling down the stairs brings Cap back inside. He shuts the door. Lisa lies at the bottom of the steps, petrified. She looks out of the corner of her eyes at him. Help, she whispers. He steps over her and enters the kitchen. Do it yourself, he laughs. You know, you really fucked everything over. Where's Spider? She groans as she rights herself. She feels the pain subsiding rapidly. She enters the tiny kitchen to see Kat making a pot of tea on the propane stove. O'Leary ate him. What? Ate him. O'Leary ate him. And I didn't think it could get any weirder, she says to herself. He pauses, staring at her. She stares back. The silence is deafening. The boiling water brings her out of a dissociative state. Chamomile or peppermint? She turns around and makes for the door, feeling like throwing up. I wouldn't go out there. She enters the living room and freezes. Shadows blot the dim light through the bay window. They palm the glass and stare with their crimson eyes. The feeling of desperation intensifies as she stares. A hand pulls her back into the kitchen. Wraiths, says Cap. They suck the fun out of everything. So this is another pocket dimension? She asks, nervously eyeing the front door. This is rock bottom, I'm afraid, he says. Come again? The deep. He looks out to the kitchen window as another wraith, smaller this time, peers through, whispering a chant of some kind. This is the inner dimension between realms where souls who have lived too many lifetimes do their sentence. Lifetimes? Lisa asks quietly. The simulation can extend the lifetimes of many souls past their natural expiry. They come to you in slumber, so you don't feel it. Who are you? Good question. He hands her a mug with 2 tea bags in it. Enjoy your tea. Oh, you don't have to call me Captain. Wait, what then? No names. I prefer it that way. The Electric Noir. Lisa sits at the kitchen table, tapping her foot. She hears rustling from the bedroom. Where is it? Says Cap. More bumps ensue. Where's what? She asks. He descends the stairs as he wiggles his torso into a black hoodie with a raccoon logo on the front. Lisa glances at him. What do you mean we have to work? This is the underworld. I didn't think there'd be any employment. He sighs. I've got a debt to pay. What about me? She asks. What about you? He echoes. What do I do? I'm not staying here with those things outside. The wraiths murmur from all around, every window. They're harmless, Cap says. I sincerely doubt that. They don't look harmless at all, she says, as one hisses at her. See? They'll only take your soul if you have one, he says. Pardon? She growls. They share a look. He He turns to the closet and pulls out a large duffel bag. Zipping it open, he pulls out an ancient pistol. It reminds Lisa of pirates. "You'll need this," he says, handing it to her. "I thought you said they were harmless." "There are other things that aren't in any way harmless." He pulls out a large scimitar with a scabbard and a strap that he puts on his back. "We'll be lucky if we get there before dark." "What happens then?" "Darkness," he says, with his face becoming a shade paler. "Let's go then." They appear outside, the wraiths still loitering, watching them from afar. "What do we do about them?" Lisa asks. "Don't worry about them." The captain reassures her. They scurry away when you get close. It's really if you don't have a seal on the outside of the place that you have to worry about them. They end up sucking out your inner essence while you sleep, so we just have to be careful. They take their first footsteps into the unknown. The ground is spongy and damp. The air is frigid and gnaws into the bone. Just like Captain said, they observe the wraiths dispersing into the surroundings of old, overgrown ruins, reminiscent of an industrial-age town. Ivy and tall grass cover the landscape. Everything seems monotone and gray. Knocking sounds and whispers can be heard from all around. Lisa wonders if it's all in her head. They walk along a well-worn path through the industrial complex, with the husks of buildings hiding shadows, and in the distance, she thought she could hear screams. She listened closely. They sounded familiar. "Those dice!" She struggles to keep up to his walking pace, feeling suddenly weak. "They might exist outside the simulation, but I don't know. I'll have to talk to Dr. O'Leary," he muses. "Who is this Dr. O'Leary, and who's the mother being?" Lisa asks. "One and the same," he replies. "That explains nothing. Nobody escapes the deep. He's my employer. We target problem cases, the ones capable of dimensional travel, and..." He drags his thumb across his neck. "Where do they go after this place?" she asks. "They become one with the darkness," he says in a grim tone. "That doesn't sound fun," she says. "It's not," he says, stopping for a moment. "But I have a chance at getting out of this mess." "How so?" she asks. "The long sleep." She keels over onto the ground. "That sounds great," she says slowly. "I think I'm hungry." He picks her up and grins. "What?" she asks. "I've got you covered." As they stumble towards the edge of a wall of high grass, they emerge out, finding themselves in an overgrown housing development with several single-story bungalows. They knock on several doors to no avail. "I could really use a drink," she says, drooling. "Over here, you pillock," says a voice from across the street. Standing in the doorway of the most intact home on the block is a round old man. "Come on now, it's almost dark." They walk over to the little home as Cap carries Lisa in one arm. "We need blood." "After what you've done to me, I shouldn't be talking to you after my sister and Jacob were murdered by a..." "Yes, she's a vampire," says Cap. "She's not one of the crazy ones, is she?" asks the old man. "You'll have to wait and see, won't you, Benton?" says Cap. Benton mumbles something vile under his breath. "We're making a pit stop here, then it's off to O'Leary's." He props Lisa against a wall. "We need passage through the void." "How many floors down?" asks Benton with one eyebrow raised. "We don't have much time," says Cap. "Please just one. Please say one." Cap shrugs. If you don't make it to your employer, he'll come after me. We'll make it, says Cap. The three of them make their way through the dingy house to the stairwell leading to the basement. As they pass the magical seal, they feel an electrical charge pass through them. In the far corner of the dark room is a latch on the floor. She can't climb down the ladder without blood, or that amulet, says Cap. Fine, but she's not keeping it, says Benton, reaching into his cardigan and plucking out an obsidian pentacle. Cap fastens the string around her neck, and she immediately shakes her head and rights herself. They open the latch and peer down into the hole. There's iron rungs that go down as far as the eye can see. They stand for a moment. "Come on, pussies," says Lisa as she quickly descends. Cap follows, then Benton. After a long time of being in the pitch-black tunnel, they find footing in the dark. Lisa can see a string attached to a light bulb. The room brightens. They're in a small chamber made of brick walls rounded at the top. At the other end is a short wooden door. Benton knocks at the door twice. A loud rapping from the other side sounds thrice. The door opens and the room explodes with the sounds of a bustling market, with voices and strange stringed instruments and hand drums, the clinking of coins and the frying of meats. They enter a network of alleyways and corridors filled with cloaked people, gypsies, circus performers. They walk towards the booming of techno music, which seems absurd in this place. Turning a corner down a very narrow lane, they find an empty storefront. Benton opens the door and flicks on the lights. The ceiling is covered in Edison bulbs buzzing. The old man passes Lisa a mason jar of blood. "On the house," says Benton. She takes a sip and feels instantly rejuvenated. She slips him the pentacle, amulet, and turns to Cap. "What was this business about a void?" she asks. "We don't have time to chat." Weaving through the labyrinthine market and its cloaked figures, they near the loud techno. In the center of an empty square is a spiral staircase leading down. The bass becomes deafening. "We have to go down there? What?" He tugs on her and they start towards the darkness below. As they get further down, the music becomes so overpowering that it becomes barely noticeable. She tries to speak to him, but there's just silence. At the next landing, they reach a large room filled with shadows. Shapes are dancing to a beat that they begin to feel more than they hear. It's deadly silent. The shadows turn to face them. It's a sea of waxing moons. The crowd begins to approach them. Lisa is petrified, but Cap tugs her down the stairwell to the next level. As they round the corner, the space is bright and white. Marble halls of perfect angles and glass sculptures glow almost. Statues of colorful plastic, living ones, begin to contort and scamper towards them, making alien, unending cries. Cap pulls her deeper. Lisa is so disturbed she blanks out the rest. She keeps going down until she sees a door, and as they exit, they look behind and it's gone. They scan the surroundings. Massive cedar trees mixed with pine and fir reach into the sky. They are on the bank of a bubbling river. In the distance, they hear a phonograph playing a classical violin. "This way," says Captain. She stands, catatonic. He looks at her with a pained expression. She can't hear him. Too much inside her own head. He picks her up and throws her over his shoulder and crosses the stream, almost falling into the icy waters 3 times. A short walk towards the source of the music, and they're met with a large clearing and a Victorian mansion nestled between the trees. The sky begins to darken, and the fog becomes thicker as they near the front steps. Lisa snaps out of it for a moment. She looks back into the forest behind them. A wall of unimaginable darkness creeps towards them, with limbs reaching out, clawing at them. They enter the house. The wallpaper and decor is immaculate and smells of frankincense. They walk into the living room and sit down on the vintage furniture. Looking outside, they're met with an impenetrable darkness. Dr. O'Leary materializes through the walls at the other end of the house, levitating towards them, his eerie presence unsettling to Lisa. He places one finger on his mouth, tossing something at her. She catches it, and it begins to glow a deep red. She raises her other hand, and a similar dice glows above it, deep red. "When you get to the real world, you have to promise me that you'll pull my plug," says Cap. She looks at him one more time and nods. "You know what to do." She rolls. Perfect 60. It's hard to breathe. Darkness penetrates every sense. Tubes rub against the inside of my throat. The cold liquids surrounding me begin to drain as lights flood the containment chamber. The glass walls slide into the floor. Gloved hands pick up my limp body and place me into a wheelchair. They bring me through long white corridors. My vision is blurry. I can hear them talking. They're excited. I find myself in a room with a bed. They tuck me in. One of them said something I will never forget. "You're the very first digital being transferred into a human body. You're really alive." The lights shut off and the door closes. The slumber that comes lasts an eternity. "It's breakfast time, Stella." She awakes with a headache. "Stella? You have to take your medication as well. And you've got a visitor." The Electric Noir.